Hello, my name's Jonathan, and I'm going to show you what I've done so far with a little script that will help make creating weapons much easier. Now, it won't change how you place objects together. This is a sample of a object with a bunch of rotating parts and moving parts whenever it reloads and stuff. So, I mean, you have to still create that and everything. This is a very simple version of what you could do with it. And I've already added my own animation thing to it as well. That's something you need to do as well. It doesn't handle that. But the stuff it does handle is how... well, I'll show you in a moment. Now let's begin with the sample weapon I have over here. It's very, basic. Now let's attach the script to it. With the script you're going to want to attach is right over here. You drag this right into this, and there you go. Everything's set for you. Just gotta change some things. You gotta place certain things in, otherwise it won't do what you may want it to do. We'll cover each of these in detail in a moment. Let's minimize everything. Alright, first thing we're gonna make is like an automatic test gun. It's a single player version. I can change the multiplayer, but not set up just yet for that. Alright. Team not know it needed. The fire rate indicates how many seconds it takes until it has permission to shoot again, or spawn projectiles. In this case it is 0.1 seconds. It depends on what type of spray type you have, or type of weapon it is. So far there are several. Shotgun, semi-automatic, burst, charge. None does nothing, so it's really no point in using it. But alright, fire sound's not set up yet, but it will do what it needs to do later. So if you change, burst rate does not do anything if it's not set to burst. Burst rate is only exclusive to burst mode. Semi-automatic does its own little thing. Alright, let's go to... Alright, first before we place values and everything in, we should attach it to the player. I have this player over here, very basic. It has some scripts over here. There's some parts that are a little modified, but that's just for if you plan on using multiplayer, so it's not really needed yet. You could just use regular versions of this and it will still work. But things for like Recoil, it would need to have certain reference like FPS mouse look or something like that. Alright, so we got that. We got camera and everything. Another FPS mouse look again. Crosshair, it's a little thing I added extra, no need for that. And that's done as well. Weapon damp is an extra thing to make the weapon move and look smooth, but that has nothing to do with what we're about to do here. So let's go continue with this. As you notice, the animation thing's already set here. We'll deal with that in a moment, but meantime, let's place the weapon onto the player. Now, I have other methods you can do this, but for the simplest version, we will be just attaching it normally. Place in the gun placement area. It doesn't move because you need to change its values to 0. Whoops, like that. 0 and 0. Let's see, the weapon's over here. It doesn't look like it's in the right area, but that's because of the way this thing's spread around. Okay. Now, let's add on the weapon projectile we want to use. This is what will shoot out of the muzzle, which we'll indicate later. Where is it? I have it already on a prefab. Projectiles. So we got blaster. Blaster explosion is no good. Charge shot and charge test. We're going for blaster since that's what it's going to basically look like. So we'll just hold on. Let's get back to the script. Just hold on to the blaster and drag into weapon projectile. Okay, that's good. Now, charge object is not, you don't need it right now because we haven't set for charged singular charge projectile. Muzzle location, that will be over here. So we will place over here. Charge location, that would be the multiple location as well, but or wherever you may have it specifically for, but that's not needed for this one as well, so we'll just ignore that. Gun placement. This is the place where the gun is being held. And hold on, let me check to see something for a sec. For other weapons I have made, like this for instance. Oh, you don't need gun placement for this. It's not set for that because it already does it automatically. So we'll just ignore that as well. Let's get back to the SP automatic test gun, and that should be it for the stuff we need. Alright, now let's move on to alright, well, we'll change this in a little later. Recoil. Alright, let's go. Alright, right over here, this is debug information, just so I understand what is going on. So just ignore this for now. As you see, it says the ammo clip amount and the total amounts we have. That's also in here as well. Gave it 15. Max amount is 15. So it can only, when you do reload, it will go to 15 at its max. The total amount is the amount it can possibly have. No, actually the total amount is the amount it has right now. The max amount is the amount it can possibly have. Subtract amount is how many per shot will it subtract. Added amount is how much it will add. It increases that as you shoot, like so. And when you finally press the reload button, it will add that amount to the clip amount. The charge amount needed is for charging. We'll go into that later. Alright, as you can see, when it's automatic, so it will travel, no, it'll keep shooting up. Alright, that's done. Now let's do something else. Let's assign the animation. Right over here. We also have to give it the reload name. In this case, it is test gun reload. So we will write this down. Gun reload. And if I didn't screw it up, let's see if it works. Alright, shoot, press the R button, and reload. There you go. That's the animation it does. I have it set for, at least. You can change to any animation you want, and just drag whatever animation is over here into there. And as you see, it says 9, but when I press reload, it subtracts from whatever it just added into here, and it only goes up to 15, so it already does the calculations for ammo for you. Okay, we're in automatic. We're not going to, change the other modes yet. We're going to show the little individual parts. We already did ammo, so we can mark that out. Now, spread amounts. This is the min spread, this is the max spread, this is the amount within it can spread up to. It can't go past 30, but it can't go lower than 10. You can always modify this. So if I were to change this to, and this is per shot. For every shot it will do this amount. No, actually, oh, now I realize it, this is the amount it has at the moment. This per shot is right here. So I'm going to change this to, say, 30, and I'm going to change this to, like, 60. It'll basically reach its max amount within 2 shots. So why don't we do this to 150, that goes into 30. Let's see what happens. See, yeah, it's like shooting like crazy right now. I really need to change the lighting here, so hold on a sec. Let's see if I can do that right now. If we make it a little darker, it'll be easier to see. Alright, now let's go back into the game and change the settings I already did just earlier. As you can see it much better now. Let's go to this. and rechange this again since we were in the hierarchy while it was played. It resets the changes back. Good for testing. So let's change this to 150. It's the max amount it can spread. Let's change this to... Well, actually, we just change it to... Well, actually, we just change it to 15, and it will automatically spread higher and higher with each shot. So let's see. See? It gets more and more as it goes. We're going to load this. As you can see, it calculates how much spread is going on right now. And it shows on here. That's what the spread amount is. I made that mistake. Sorry about that. Spread per shot. And this is the decrease per second. For every second that happens in the game, it will decrease the amount that just happened by 10 or whatever number you set it to. It only does the spread after you let go of the trigger. So you gotta make it won't like subtract while you're adding. Alright. Accuracy amount is for translation. It's not needed. You don't need to modify this at all. Alright. Now we're done with spreading. Let's reset this back. And let's get into reload rates, speed rate. You can change the change how fast or how slow it will reload. One is the normal amount it will go for. I changed this to 2, it'll go twice as fast. See? Which is the 0.5, it'll go slower. Also, if I try shooting while reloading, or if I'm trying to switch weapons or something, I already have that preset for something else, it will not allow you to shoot. See, I'm pressing right now and nothing's happening. But it will enable it afterwards. Alright, now we're done with that. Let's change this back to 1. Well, actually, it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to do this. Alright, gun part, gun animation layer. No need to know about this. Plan on getting rid of that later. Unless I find a use for it. One of the more important things is recoil, which is when you see me do this here, bounce up, and it decreases. When it says recoil here, this is for the horizontal axis. Like it'll move back and forth with every shot. When it comes to right over down here, kickback, this is for up and down. It will constantly go up for every shot that has happened. See, kickback per shot is 0.5. Recoil right here actually doesn't do much. Like all this stuff needs to be modified later, but it doesn't really do much. It actually calculates how much it needs to recoil back and how much it needs to do a recoil based on the kickback, so recoil is really not needed here. I'll be changing that later. Now if I ever change this to say 1, oh yeah, good note here is with recovery per second, I suggest you leave it where it can be, where you can where this number is divisible by this number. Like this thing can go into 1 about 4 times. So, and it has to be a whole number. If it not, it's not going to. It's going to be a little bit off when it resets back. Alright, so if I press and continuously shoot, this is what will happen. Oh, well, after I get some ammo. So if I do this, it goes more. And it also it's more slower because it takes more till it gets to 0 for recoil. Alright. Now we get those out of the way. This stuff over here is not important, just for stuff right here. I need to get rid of this later. Can't switch indicates if you can switch at this moment. You can't switch while you're shooting, you can't switch while you're reloading. You can't switch while you're switching, but that's not set up on the weapon component script. That would be set up onto a different script. You would want to reference that. Reference the script that you have that does the switching by this. You would want to check with this to see if it's ready to switch, because you don't want it to reload and then if you're switching, because like for instance, you have a setup where the weapons get turned off and the weapon that you're getting ready to switch to gets turned on. You definitely don't want this. You definitely don't want it to do it while it's reloading, because it will mess up the whole thing. It'll be stuck in an animation area and it will never be able to use again, and it may cause other problems as well. So that's why that can't switch is there, and that's why you should use it as a reference for other scripts that require like switching your weapons. Now we covered all this stuff. Let's go into fire rates. We'll go back to the beginning. If I change this to say 0.5, for every time I hold the button, it takes half a second to shoot. And it only recoils after you shooting. When you let go, or when you run out of ammo, it will start recoiling back down. Alright, now let's move on to burst. Need to reload. Alright, we just set the burst, and when we start shooting, I was able to shoot burst continuously through that, but it only acknowledges you pressing the button after you finish the 5 bullet requirement and after 0.25 seconds have passed. So that's what burst rate is for. Alright, we're back, and after looking at my own script again, semi-automatic doesn't rely on burst rate. So if I were to change this to say 10, and also change this to semi-automatic, doesn't matter with that. But what it will end up doing is waiting until 10 seconds after you finish the shot, and then it'll do the recoil down. Like so. Took 10 seconds for that to happen. If I change this to automatic and do the same thing, it will disregard that, because it doesn't rely on burst rate. So this will be the amount of seconds it takes for it to recoil back down for the semi-automatic. I'll probably make this more easier to understand later down the road. Right now, let's just move on to something like shotgun. Shotgun requires you to change the, not this one, the ammo for the subtract amount. This is the amount that will be shooting. So if we change this to 5, for instance, then start shooting, after I reload, of course, shot 5 shots. It's probably easier if I make it spread more. So let me reload there. Spread shot. Let's put 30. As you see, it spreads 5 shots out there. If for shotguns, it's important to have the ammo clip be divisible by the subtraction that you have written over here. This won't change the amount of bullets that get shot from the other modes, only for shotgun. But it will change the amount that is subtracted, so beware of that. The reason why that is also important, though, is for this one, where basically it'll subtract 5. Like, say, if we have a charge shot, it'll subtract 5 from that instead. Let's move on to the charged. Charged is basically for a more sci-fi-like weapon. Change the charged. We need to also change the charged object and the charged projectile. Charged object is the effect that happens on the muzzle or wherever you place it. Where, that'll be indicated here. So let's drag that. No, we can't do that. So I just drag that like that. Gun placement already does its thing. No need to touch that. Charged object. Let's see what that will be. This should be under projectiles. Right here. Should be under charge test, I believe. Yeah, charge test. So go over here. No, gotta click it again. Then hold this, drag down to here, charged object, and what if the charge projectile I set is the charge shot. Alright, now let's change some other variables here. You need the charge amount needed. That basically means you need 5 or more ammo. No, you need 5. Yeah, you need 5 or more ammo, or to be able to even do the charge shot. If you want to ignore that, you just set this to 0 or 1. More likely 1, because if you have 0 ammo, it will automatically do the charge thing. Okay. Now where else to go? Keep down 5. We'll minimize this stuff. And charge basically works like semi-automatic, except with the charge thing involved as well. It'll have basically the same behavior as semi-automatic. Recoil. No, that's not it. It's charging right here. Full counter. This is the amount it takes for it to be fully charged. Fully charged just indicates that it has been fully charged and it's ready to shoot. The amount of seconds it will take for it to fully charge. Let's set this to, say, let's set this to 5. We don't want it to go too fast but not too slow. And we'll just look at here when it's fully charged. Is charging indicates if you're doing the charging already. That automatically happens when you're pressing the mouse button down. Now let's move on to, well, I better leave that there, to the actual thing. Press play here. You get a little charge effect, see on the side. Hold on, almost done. Oh, that's right. Fully charged only indicates after you shoot. I was wondering why it was taking so long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Alright, there we go. Now, we can also just shoot singularly, like that. See, it's like a little bit of semi-automatic there. And also, you cannot switch while you're charging, because that doesn't really make any sense. As you can see right over there, if I hold it, it deactivates until I release. Alright then. That basically covers it. Other parts will be shown later, like firing sound and some modifications later on the road as well. I hope you like the concept of the idea of having just one script to rule them all. Place this on any object and you can just deal with their behaviors accordingly. Multiplayer is already set up, it's just you need to set up the multiplayer system as well, like multiplayer manager, all that stuff. So that will be going to maybe next time. But if you ever want multiplayer to be compatible, you just set this to is multiplayer to true. And you also need to add a network view as well. Thank you and have a nice day.